held on Monday, April 24th, 2023, at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Council President Vanderline. Council President Johnson Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Baines.
Present.
Councilmember Brightwell.
Here.
Councilmember Cruz.
Present.
Councilmember Frazier.
Here.
Councilmember Holt.
Here.
Councilmember.
Thank you. Would we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we have communications. The Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member, or other elected officials that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language toward any individual when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent. If a person addressing the council refuses to become silent when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the city council, and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. Thank you. Our first person to speak tonight under public communications is Mr. Keith Harris. Okay. Next, we have Ms. Stacy Jackson. No. Then we have Allison Manning. Yes, ma'am. You can go right there to the desk there if that's more comfortable for you. You can pull the microphone closer to you. The microphone closer. Would you pull it closer to you so we can hear you?
And state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Allison Manning. I have you my address?
Oh.
Okay. I represent the seniors in Southfield that put vehicles on Tuesday between 12 and 3:30. And my concern is how we're constantly being moved. I just started coming at the end of last year, and we've been moved 4 times. Now we're in a hallway, they call it a pavilion, I call it a hallway. And we feel very uncomfortable, very unsafe there. We were told that there was a grant and that Southfield received, and it's supposed to be for the seniors, and they were gonna fix it up in this, that, and the other, but we don't see anything being done. I could see it being moved from that last room to the hallway or to the doing that room, but that's not the case. We were told that we were moved out of that room because they were having a repairs. But we would be in that hallway for a minimum of 6 months. I want to know what kind of repairs last 6 months. That, makes me ask questions, And then, like I said, we've been moved 4 times in these 2 months. I I would also like to know who gave the grant and what the conditions are. And I think that I'm entitled to know that as a real business officer. I sent an email to the president and also you, Ms. Taylor, and I got no response. I don't understand what's happening. It's like you're being ignored, tossed aside. When you get to be a city of Miami, you don't move that fast. Somebody steady moving you around like a city of teenagers, and you say, move this way. We don't move that fast. We're in our golden years, and I think we deserve dignity and respect, and I don't think we're getting that.
Okay.
It was, we don't want to be moved back to the world. We would prefer to stay here in Civic Center because there's police presence here. With all of this shootings and everything that's going on in different communities, we feel safe.
Okay. Thank you for coming this evening.
My 3 minutes is up.
Mhm.
I just cannot add one more thing.
Sure.
I just want you to know that I am a father.
Thank you. Can you leave your name and phone number with the city clerk right here?
Put it on the sheet.
Okay. Yeah, I see it here. Thank you. And we'll reach back out to you. We do have a representative, a senior representative for the seniors that was a part of getting information to you. So we'll just reach out to that person too. Make sure that,
Okay, the meeting from COSA,
Mhm.
they took minutes, will those be presented here tonight?
not here tonight. As far as I know, COSA will not be presenting their minutes here tonight.
That was so different, yeah.
They may be, to my knowledge, I don't know that they are.
At their own meeting, they present it.
Mhm. They usually present their meetings at their meeting, not at our meeting.
Because I was told that whatever is said in there is brought to the city council and they handle it that way.
There's a process for getting us information. But thank you. We will get back to you. And that concludes our communications for tonight. Next, we have presentations. Our first presentation is a joint resolution recognizing the End Jew Hatred Day.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. My name is Michael Manning for the viewing audience, Community Relations Director for the city. It's my honor tonight to present the End Jew Hatred Day joint resolution of the Mayor and City Council that is slated for this Saturday, April 29th. Whereas for millennia, the Jewish people have sustained their shared religious, cultural, and ethnic identity and tradition in the face of enslavement, persecution, genocide, segregation, discrimination, and all manner of adversity. Whereas ever since the first Jew set foot in America in 1634, members of the Jewish community have made indelible contributions to the culture, history, social fabric of the United States of America, strengthening the country and helping shape all areas of American life. And whereas the belief in the greatness of the American way of life, the freedoms enshrined in American law and jurisprudence, and the opportunities sustained by American democracy through generations of Jewish immigrants to America, including Jews fleeing persecution and programs in Europe and Middle East, Holocaust survivors and Jews trapped behind the Iron Curtain. And whereas the history encouraged many Jews to become leading proponents and supporters of the civil rights movement, marching shoulder to shoulder with African Americans and others unified in support of equal rights, equal protection under the law, and recognition and respect for all human dignity. Whereas the Jewish community has prominently participated in virtually every civil rights effort in the American experience, fighting against discrimination and bigotry in all its forms and demanding the equal rights of every other member of society. And whereas Despite the advances made in promoting social justice for other minority groups, the Jewish community has continued to be subjected to anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, including discrimination in the workplace, at school, and in public spaces. Whereas despite the advances made by promoting social justice, whereas hate crimes directed against the Jewish community have skyrocketed in recent years, inspiring the formation of grassroots End Jew Hatred civil rights movement to alter public discourse and make Jew hatred unacceptable in contemporary society. Whereas we all share an obligation to condemn and combat Jew hatred in all its forms and end the persecution and discrimination against the Jewish community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Mayor and City Council of the Southfield, Oakland County, State of Michigan, do hereby recognize the need to end Jew hatred in this generation and recognize Saturday, April 29th, 2023 as End Jew Hatred Day in the city of Southfield, Michigan. Dated today, the 24th day of April 2023. Thank you.
Counsel?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the resolution as presented.
Support. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve the resolution as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Next, we have the presentation of the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities and Southfield Anti-Drug Coalition.
Good evening again, Honorable Council and Mayor. Again, Michael Mannion, Community Relations Director for the City of Southfield. It's my honor tonight to introduce Mr. Roger Goolsby. I think a man in this room most people know by name. Mr. Goolsby has been involved with the city for many, many years, and I think most here know his work from the Southfield Community Coalition to the Dr. Martin Luther King Task Force to a number of other initiatives and programs and organizations throughout the city. Having been a long-time ambassador and volunteer in the city, Mr. Goolsby has recently taken on a new assignment as the program director for the Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition. Mr. Goolsby is here in that capacity tonight, serving as the program director for this organization. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Goolsby. Rob?
Here I am again. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Council members, staff, appointees, and those who are in attendance in person and those who are looking on virtually. I'm Roger Goolsby, as mentioned before, the director of the Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition. With me this evening is the coalition executive board and supporters. I think I need to introduce the executive board. Diana Pegler, who is our treasurer, Marissa Youngblood, Janet Jackson, and I think that's all who's here right now. But as you can see, that's the executive board up there. Also in attendance is our presenter, Mary Ann Burgess, CPS. She's a prevention program director for the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. It's located here in Oakland County. She will be giving an overview of the Alliance's missions and goals. The Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition is funded through the, I'm going to give the acronym, ACHC. This is our chance to introduce you all to what our goals and initiatives is. Our mission is posted up on the screen. So as you can see, it's a lofty goals that we have in mind. And we hope that this presentation will bring about awareness of the gravity of this substance abuse that is spreading in our communities. And we want to garner support for the coalition, the Southfield Coalition, in its efforts to educate families, especially school-aged children. Now I present Mary Ann Burke.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Vergeth. I am the Prevention Program Director for the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. Roger invited me here to give you an overview of what we do and just sort of explain a little bit about how our relationship works through our organization and the coalitions that we offer assistance to in Oakland County. So we were established in 2004 as the umbrella organization for, at that time, there was about 13 coalitions in Oakland County. Our mission is through substance abuse prevention, mental and physical wellness, harm reduction, and recovery support programs. The Alliance connects, strengthens, and mobilizes strategic partners to promote healthier communities. As stewards of community trust, we believe in collaboration, prevention, and results. So we have 4 different arms to our organization. Substance use prevention was the genesis, the beginning of the organization, and then over time we've moved into behavioral health, dealing with mental and physical wellness, and over the last, I'd say 7 years, we've really been working to increase our recovery support and harm reduction, especially with the uptake of fentanyl and opioid overdoses throughout the country, actually. So this is just a map of Oakland County, and you can see all of the school districts are represented on this map. So wherever there's a star, that's where there's a community coalition. So right now there are 21 prevention coalitions in Oakland County. The only area that we don't have fully covered is Farmington. We used to have a coalition there, but they ended a year or so ago. So we're really proud of the fact that we're really reaching every single community with a coalition that addresses underage substance use, among other issues within their communities. We provide funding to these coalitions. We're primarily funded through the Oakland Community Health Network, and through that funding we're able to provide $38,000 to each coalition. We also provide $3,000 to each coalition in federal Partnership for Success funds. We held smart recovery meetings, both in person and virtually. So we cover the entire county through those meetings, and we also have people who attend the virtual meetings who are outside of the county. And then we also provide free Save a Life community Narcan training throughout the county and beyond. So this is just an overview of some of our partnerships and our funding. So we're the largest prevention organization in Oakland County. As I mentioned, we're the umbrella organization to 21 prevention coalitions across the county, Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition being one of them. And then we also have a partnership with Oakland Schools to help provide, implement the Michigan model. We hold a drug-free community support grant from the federal government, which is managed by the CDC. We also have a Partnership for Success grant and a STOP Act grant that comes from SAMHSA. We are the sign our tobacco compliance contract with MDHHS, which we go out, and Southfield is partner with that. We ask our coalitions to go out and educate all the tobacco retailers across the county. We hold compliance checks. There's federal money that rests on each county, or Michigan as a whole, passing under a certain amount of percentage of stores selling tobacco to minors. We receive state opioid response funding so that we're able to go out and provide Narcan training for free. And that includes providing Narcan to everyone who attends our training, so they get a free Narcan. And then we have many partnerships with many different organizations throughout the county. And we rely on our fundraising, donations, and 100% board giving to support our efforts. And an exceptional board of directors, volunteers, and an amazing team. So these are just a couple highlights. Again, as I mentioned, we support the 21 coalitions across Oakland County. That includes providing resources, providing technical assistance. We help with grant writing. We're able to provide a lot of printed resources and materials so that coalitions can spend their money doing other things that directly serve their own community and not having to pay for a lot of those things. We were the inaugural class of the CADCA Blue Ribbon Coalitions in 2021. In 2018, we were nationally recognized for long-term outcomes in reducing underage drinking in Oakland County. We have integrated prevention, wellness, and recovery support programs, including programs that go into the schools and after schools. We have partnerships across the county. We help with youth collaboratives across the county, so many coalitions have youth groups that we support and provide leadership training and events for. And then every year we have a signature event, Shatter the Stigma Family Fun Festival and 5K, which is the first Saturday of every month. It's our biggest fundraiser. And then these are just a few of the programs that we implement for K through 12. We have Keep Them Safe, Keep Them Healthy, which is prevention education. We do Botman Life Skills and Prime for Life, which are all evidence-based practices programs. And then we have Renewed and Renewed Junior, Girls Empowered in Recess. These are all programs that we have developed internally. Renewed and Renewed Junior has been really highly requested and implemented since COVID because it really helps kids learn how to manage difficult feelings. We've seen a big increase in stress, anxiety, and depression among young people, especially since COVID. So we try to get into as many schools as we can to implement that program. PEEPS is our youth initiative. We have wellness programs. And then Positive Norm is our partnership with Oakland University. So we focus on positive community norms, again, focused on mental health, trying to reduce stigma among students at the university level to reach out if they're struggling. Resolve is a life skills-based peer recovery support program for people who are in early recovery. Save a Life is our Narcan trainings, and then Smart Recovery is our recovery groups that we offer throughout the county and beyond. These are some of the resources that we provide. So we provide printed toolkits. We've provided drug-free school zone signs to coalitions to be able to share with their schools. We provide the SINAR education visits for tobacco retailers. We also do alcohol vendor education packets that we provide to coalitions that they can take into local retailers. We have a yearly magazine. Talk Sooner is an app that people can download, and it just provides resources for parents and families. We also have billboards periodically throughout the county. We have a very active social media that is, we have posts going out daily. So that's an overview of what we do. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to ask and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Great presentation. Council, do we have any? Councilwoman Ho.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, but rather just want to give you accolades. I think this is very needed in the community, and so I'm glad to hear it. And when possible, I'd like to volunteer and help as well, simply because, unfortunately, it affects all of us some way, directly or indirectly, so I could say that's the case for me. And so anytime that I can help those that suffer from it or to prevent is the key. And so I just want to applaud you and thank you for this presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I would direct you to your local coalition.
Yes.
They're doing the work at the local level, and
So-
they would absolutely be the people to reach out to.
Thank you.
Volunteering.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell.
Yeah, I want to echo what Councilwoman Hogue mentioned. How many volunteers do you have statewide and or locally?
Well, it varies. We probably have up to 100 that we depend on for the Alliance as a countywide network. I'm not sure how many volunteers you would have locally. Roger, yeah. 62 here locally.
Okay. And I want to add one other thing. I might be a little biased, but whenever Roger shows up, good things happen.
I have no doubt about that.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. Excellent presentation. Did I hear you say you also deal with mental health issues, or you have resources for those?
Yes, we direct people for resources for help. We are not a treatment organization, we're a prevention organization, so we go in and we do a lot of education and we provide students with tools to help them manage difficult feelings, but we don't do any kind of treatment, but we can do referrals.
And what about adults? Because a lot of times children suffer because they also suffer because their parents suffer.
They're in an
So do
environment.
you also provide for adults?
We do wellness fairs and wellness initiatives, that sort of thing. Again, we focus primarily on prevention, but whenever we get calls or any need, we're able to refer people out. Oakland Community Health Network, that is our main funder, they deal with mental health treatment, so they would be the ones to reach out to for direct needs in that regard.
And I think not necessarily treatment, but education.
Education,
And to help
yeah.
people, yes, that's what I was.
Yes, yeah, we
referring to.
provide education as well.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, for adults. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yeah, I applaud you for the work that you're doing. I have a couple of questions. One is, when you're working with the schools, do you work during the school day, or is it after school hours?
It depends on the school. A lot of our programs, especially with our renewed program, they've allowed us to come in during the school day. But if the school can't accommodate that, then we'll come in after school. And, we try to accommodate what the school needs, so we can do either or.
Okay, and I know it's a difficult thing, but how do you measure your effectiveness?
We work with an evaluator, and so we do a lot of surveys. We use the MyFi, which is the state survey for youth that's done every 2 years, and then in the off year of the MyFi, we have our own internally designed survey that we do with our evaluation team. So we implement that with students on the off years. And then we evaluate all of our programs. We do pre-post surveys for all of our programs. We evaluate our Resolve program with people who are in recovery to kind of track and see if they're maintaining their sobriety after they leave our programming. We do focus groups. We evaluate everything that we do.
Do you work, I heard you say something about tobacco. Do you work with students on the electronic cigarettes?
The vaping, yes.
You do?
We have a in-school program. Well, it's a presentation. So we have two options for vaping. We have a presentation about vaping that is like educational, teaches them about, what's in the vape, why it's dangerous, why it's bad for them. We provide resources for quitting because we know a lot of young people, they're already addicted, and so we want to provide them with quit lines that they can use texting to support them in quitting. And then we also have a program called Prime for Life, which is a direct intervention for students who are participating in at-risk behaviors, and we address vaping through that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilman Cruz?
Yeah, I was just curious, is this QR code, can we get this presentation, is that on there?
I don't think it's on the QR code on that, No, but if you want to, I can send you I can send somebody the presentation if you let me know an email address, or I can send it to Roger, and then he can make sure that whoever wants it gets it.
The one that you had this Sunday.
You just scan it in our website, it'll come right up.
But he wanted the presentation that was here tonight.
Through the chair, if I may, I do have that presentation. I'll make sure I put it on all elected officials.
Oh, okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Mike.
And can I just add one thing to Councilman Frazier's question? I did provide, we have key findings reports that, for 2022, and I provided some to Roger and the Southfield Coalition, and so that has a lot of data in there. If you're interested in looking at that, that is available.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great presentation, a lot of
Thank you.
information. Mayor, did you have any comment?
No, I think it's been said. We know the tragedy, particularly with fentanyl, that has taken so many lives in this country. Extremely sad situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening to Mayor and Council. In conjunction with what was just presented, we believe in partnerships and collaborating. And one of the events we're going to be collaborating with is the Southfield Lathrop Optimist Club. On May 7th, in the Oldfield Zone, we will be doing a teen mental wellness program. As a result of COVID and all of the difficulties that our young people have been going through mentally, we did this program last year. It was successful. We're doing it again. The Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition is partnering with us. Lawrence Tech is involved. We're doing an essay contest for the students. So when you talk about measuring success, this is one of the ways that we can measure that success.
Thank you.
I'm going to conclude this presentation, but before I do, I have to give credit to one individual on the coalition that has been keeping us afloat through COVID and everything else. Mr. Barry Hubbard, will you stand up? He's responsible for making sure that flyer that you have is renewed. He's been spearheading that through the schools, and it's not just limited to Southfield Public Schools. We're open to all schools in the city of Southfield. So this is not a one-shot situation where you go in 1 month and then you say, well, we've done our job. This has to be set up on a regular basis. We're going to work, Barry's going to work through that and figure it out. But anyway, a lot of thanks to Barry, and I'd like to thank you all for allowing us to present tonight, and I'm hoping that this presentation has enlightened you. You probably knew a lot, but the resources that Ms. Burgess presented lets us know we're not alone, and families need to know that. I also would like to thank Mary Ann for taking her time out to come to present. And once again, thank you very much. And we also have a supporter, Mr. Gerald Joyce, who's on the school board. He's joining our team. So,
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this to us tonight. Okay. Is there any other comments or anything? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Council, next we'll be moving on to the public hearing and site plan. First, I'd like to say, if you are here for the single lot special assessment roll, the public hearing, we have city representatives in the lobby or in the back of the room here, and you may want to speak with them before the public hearing starts regarding your special assessments. Okay. We will now go into our public hearing. Our first is the 2023 single lot assessment, roll, hearing, and confirmation.
Good evening. Before you tonight, I have a request to hold a public hearing and confirm the 2023 single lot special assessment roll. Section 1.13 of the city's ordinance code mandates the procedure for assessing certain costs incurred by the city for services or other required fees assessed by each department. When these costs are not paid, they become a lien on the property and required to be placed on the summer tax bill. These costs include single lot SAD loans for sewer and contractor services, property transfer affidavit fines for late property transfer affidavit filing, city center special assessments, street lighting fee delinquencies, corrective actions from code enforcement, community participation fees from abatement agreements, return check fees, sewer and tap permits, and police false alarm charges. This year, we currently have 654 delinquent charges totaling $538,746.26. The individual departments have notified all affected property owners of these delinquencies by mail. I ask that you now hold a public hearing for the purpose of confirming the 2023 single lot special assessment roll.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I will now declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone here that would like to speak to their 2023 single lot special assessment roll, please come forward. Okay. There was one person that signed up, David, looked like Japaya? Mr. Japaya, J-A-P-P.
That was a mistake.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And Mr. McLean indicates that there's one who didn't have a chance to speak.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the special assessment? Okay, seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed.
Without any objection from the public, I ask you approve the resolution for the 2023 single lot special assessment roll and authorize the assessor to direct the treasurer to add these amounts to the 2023 summer tax bill.
Madam Chair. Question.
Oh,
If you have any
there's a question?
Sure.
Could you please clarify, what is a contractor loan?
Those are loans for sewer or other services.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and sidewalk, sewer and sidewalk mainly.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Councilman Frazier?
Yes, how do you evaluate, or how do you feel about this year's is so much greater? It's almost
Yeah.
a multiple of all of the other ones years ahead of it.
It is a 5-year high. I mean, we're up 82 charges from last year. The main reason that it's such an increase is we have a substantial community participation fee on there of $103,000 for one of our brownfield properties. And then the code and correction enforcements is up substantially as well. There's also a police and fire charge on there for security.
You mean
from the
false
South.
alarms?
It was a security by the police at the Southfield Public Schools.
Oh,
That
you mean the
total-
schools aren't paying?
They haven't paid, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, that's, kind of mind-boggling to look at the graphs to see how much difference there is this year. Do you blame COVID for part of this or not, or?
I would probably say that the last couple of years were probably lower because of COVID, if I had to guess. Less code enforcement actions were being assessed to property owners, is what it looks like.
And if they don't pay, what will happen?
It goes
And now
on
it's a
to,
lien against
correct,
their property.
correct. It goes to the property tax bill. If they don't pay the property tax bill, they could lose the property in a foreclosure action.
I ought to get somebody's attention. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
This is a little different than what I recall seeing in the past. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but I don't think in the past, and maybe Mr. Frazier would recall because you voted on this many times. I don't recall seeing city center special assessment on this roll. I don't, basically, before, when we got a report about the total amount, it was pretty much false alarms, litter, weed, and the way you've put this together is much more comprehensive. So I think that, for me, when I looked at the number, that was my reaction, that it just seemed higher, but you've added other things here that I don't think the way it was presented previous to your taking office here. So for instance, the $34,000 for the City Center Advisory Board, these are the people that have not paid the 5 cents per square foot.
That's correct.
Yeah, because actually, most of the businesses support the activities of the city center. They encouraged this special assessment to improve the city center. So most of them voluntarily pay, and it's a significantly higher amount than $34,000. So these are the people that just haven't, and I know that some of them are late, questions come up, well, new people in an office, they don't recognize this, so, we've encountered these situations before. So I think that explains the difference in what we were seeing in the past. Pretty much it was false alarms, litter, weeds, that sort of thing.
And I think with the city center, when I looked through the persons that owed it, half of them, 4 out of the 8, were new property owners, so they may not even be aware of it.
Yeah, I know Mr. Crow could probably speak to that, because we've had this conversation.
Yeah, if I could, through the chair. The invoices go out in July of the previous year, and we usually send 1 or 2 notices. And my suspicion is that the properties have been sold or there's new management, and the invoices may not have gotten to the right person. But typically, we have between 3 and 10 that haven't paid by the time we're getting to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
On this resolution. Through the chair, I'd like to recommend that council hereby approves and confirms the 2023 single lot special assessment roll as prepared and submitted by our city assessor.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve the 2023 single lot assessment, special assessment roll hearing and confirmation as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Next, we have our special use request, PSLU 23-0001.
Thank you, through the chair. PSLU 23-001 and its companion PSP 23-001 will be presented at the same time. 2 separate actions are required. Petitioner is Rocky Eldo. The property is located at 28830 and 28844 Northwestern Highway. Existing zoning is B3, general business. Special use request to allow for a gas station with convenience store and carryout. Site plan review request for the construction of a 5,400 gross square foot gas station with convenience store and carryout. This is the existing site location. It's actually made up of a couple different properties that are either vacant or being underutilized. Pictures from both Northwestern and West 12 Mile. Again, the property has proper zoning of B3. This was a map just showing other gas stations within the vicinity. Close-up of existing and proposed. And then traffic circulation on Northwestern Highway and 12 Mile. This is the proposed site plan. We'll be consolidating the lots. The building to the right here is the C-store, and this is the canopy. Existing site plan, landscape plan, and proposed elevations. Photometric plan, floor plan. Before the petitioner makes a comment, we've done considerable research recently on the trend from gas stations, eventually the conversion from gas, carbon fuels to electric vehicles. And a number of the gas station owners have provided information showing that the amount of C-store, convenience store sales either meets or exceeds the gasoline sales, and that trend will continue. So these will be more of a neighborhood, quick grab grocery stores as we move forward in the future, with potentially the fuel stations being eliminated altogether. They are proposing an electric vehicle charging station at this point with the ability to extend those charging stations. So we're seeing a real shift in the market from just gas stations that used to do automotive repair to more of these full service, easy in, easy out commercial enterprises. So with that, with your permission, I'd like to have the petitioner come up, make a presentation before we open the public hearing.
Hello, Rocky Aldo, petitioner.
Joe Kane, Field Stone Architecture.
And we are proposing the site for a future gas station, C-store, convenience store. If you have any questions, they're here to answer.
Oh, okay. I thought that you might wanted to add something to what
I
Terry.
just need to add that, the building is about 5,500 square foot for the convenience store. As Mr. Crowe suggested, we've got 6 gas pump islands proposed. We have currently 1 electric vehicle charging station that serves 2 parking stalls, so it can charge 2 cars at the same time, with the future to add additional as technology changes and the need increases. We're removing 3 existing buildings from the combined 2 parcels. We are taking 6 drives down to 2, one off of Northwestern, one off of 12 Mile. And Mr. Yaldo is making a significant amount of landscaping to beautify this corner, along with a nice, attractive-looking building.
If I could, one of the buildings is the former FedEx that's been vacant for some time. And we know that people are trying to avoid the traffic light at 12 in Northwestern, and they're using it as a illegal cut-through. And by eliminating the 6 driveways and offsetting between 12 and Northwestern, we believe that will greatly reduce the cut-through traffic. But this site has been a challenge for a while now. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Nothing except that we worked with the Oakland County Road Commission as well as MDOT as far as placing the drive locations based on their recommendation.
Thank you. Would you please have a seat? This is a public hearing, so I'll have to open up to the public. Thank you. This is a public hearing and for the special use request of Rocky Yaldo for the construction of a gas station and convenience store on the property at 28830 Northwestern Highway. The public hearing is now open. If there's anyone here that would like to comment or speak to this topic, please come forward. Please give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Megan Dunha, and my address is 29150 Northwestern Highway. Speak up, sorry. I'm a business owner. I own the BP gas station between Northwestern and Franklin, and I'm just here in, quite frankly, opposition to this gas station being opened. As I think that the site plan is not necessarily touching on the need for a deacceleration lane at both entrances. I think it would be in the best interest for public safety. There can be many rear ends for an entrance of this sort for various reasons. The gentleman who is trying to build this gas station is going to build a C-store, and there's going to be a lot of food, beverages, et cetera, that are going to be, available to the public at, morning hours, especially those afternoon hours of peak traffic time. I think that could allow for, many sort of rear-end opportunities, and it would be very unfortunate to see that happen. In addition, there are already 3 gas stations within a very close proximity of this gas station. There was another one that's already been approved by this council that's located at 28661 Northwestern. So this is going to be the 5th one in such a tight area. The gas station belonged to my late father, and it was passed down to my mother and I, and it's been there since 2001. And we appreciate the city of Southfield. We want to be, hard workers and taxpayers, and we don't want to feel as though we're being squeezed out at all. And I think that this gas station, in addition, can also cause, an impact in property values. It definitely is on a pie-shaped parcel and seems as though it could be an eyesore. Getting in and out of that property at traffic peak times is going to be a challenge. And I ask the council to consider that prior to any sort of vote. I understand that there's a movement towards, green electric cars, and that is without a doubt a movement that's happening, but it's not necessarily happening at this point in time. And seeing as the city of Southfield in that particular area is being serviced from the fueling side, I think that it's a question to be asked, why? Why another gas station? Where is the add value there? For more people to pump gas for the next 20, 30 years potentially? I think that, from noise pollution, property values, health impacts, but most importantly, traffic congestion and public safety, I just ask this council to take those points into consideration. So thank you very much for your time, and much appreciated.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. Council? Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. As I was driving down Northwestern Highway, going towards Orchard Lake, I noticed that there's a new gas station being built between, I don't know if it's Middle Belt and Orchard Lake, that looked almost identical to this. It was very, very tall. And I'm trying to understand, what is the purpose for the building to be so tall? I know the one further down on Northwestern Highway, even though it was set back, in my opinion, just looked out of character for a gas station. So why are these buildings so tall?
Part of the reason is that we have a storage mezzanine that would be above part of the C-store. So we need that extra height for that additional storage.
More than less modern development, it requires proper heights and glass just for modern development for the future.
And you don't think that this conceptual plan or this plan is like out of character for that corner? It's not too high?
Not if you're looking for future development and proper looks and heading into the future, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yes, this is to Mr. Crode. Have you had a chance to take a look at the difference between the gas station and the convenience store? Parking and setbacks and lot sizes and what all?
Yes, I mean, we factor two separate parking calculations, one for the gas station itself, and then one for the C-store. And then depending on whether the C-store is just selling prepackaged goods or if they have prepared items, we look at indoor seating, outdoor seating. We look at all those things for parking requirements.
With the number of gas stations that are around that corner, are we going to end up with another dollar store situation?
Well, we're always aware of that, and I have brought up in the past my concern about the number of overall gas stations. The more research that I do, and that's what I try to allude on, is that we believe the combustion fuel engine is going to be around for 20, 30 years. There's 300 million cars, but there's also a large mandate towards EVs, and it's going to take some time for the automobile, the combustion engine, to go out of style to the point where the gas stations will start removing their gas pumps. But we also see a trend on this retail side, and I'd like to say similar to like a 7-Eleven that has high gross volume, quick pickup. And doing our research for the alcohol sales and others, a number of gas station owners have been sharing their financial data with us and seeing a decline in the last 20 years to the point where the C-store and is outpacing the gas sales. And we think over time, these will be standalone retail stores on these corners as opposed to just gas station or full service. As the applicant had said, this is a more modern, more scale to the building, and you know, it's up to them to provide the marketing. But as you know, with gas stations, you've got directional traffic. Someone's not going to do the Michigan left to go around to go to a gas station. They're picking up based on traffic patterns during the rush hours. So we're trying to be open-minded about all these different situations and evolution in this market.
The example that you said that is similar to a 7-Eleven store, if 3 7-Eleven stores came in and all in the same block, would you allow that?
Well, right now we don't have any prohibition for retail stores. We have instituted with the dollar store because we were seeing a trend and there's been some negative consequences, but this is B3, and if they didn't come in with the gas pump, they could build this freestanding C-store by right. It wouldn't require special land use approval. It's the gas component that's requiring special land use approval.
I'm just concerned about what's going to happen 5 years down the road when we have duplication of this someplace else in the city because their gas station, they want to sell sandwiches and pizzas and whatever, and somebody else comes in and wants to build another one. I'm not overly thrilled at having a bunch of little bodegas up and down the street.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just, based on the research that we've done over the last half a year to a year, all the complexities with the alcohol sales and other things, we're finding a trend more towards these full-service C-stores, or in essence, a neighborhood retail. And again, at some point, there's going to be too many, and I'm going to let them argue the marketing study for this, but we don't just see these as gas stations anymore.
No, I see some of them as empty buildings sitting there because they can't keep up with it. Somebody else has more of a grocery store.
And to your point, there's an empty FedEx building that's been there for a while, and I don't know what the other two off the top of my head, the other two buildings are, but they're underperforming. And again, this is a way to help reduce the traffic, cut throughs, beautify landscaping to get, I mean, we don't look on site plan just for tax development, but this is a way of infusing economic development to this corner that's underperforming. And council has to take all those in considerations. That's why it's a special land use. Hours of operation and potential impacts.
Well, I'm going to vote for this, but I also think that we need to do some serious discussions about how we want Southfield to look in the next 5, 10, 20 years, when things don't work like we think we see today, when the world changes and we have a bunch of empty buildings sitting around. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Seibert?
I was just going to respond to Ms. Banks. A number of the commercial buildings that are one-story do the additional height for visibility. I'm not sure if that's the case here, but for instance, the end caps at 12 and Southfield on the strip center. There, you know, it's just a design element, and a lot of it is to landmark. And I'm not sure if that's part of your intent.
Just the aesthetic of the building, as well as I had mentioned with the storage mezzanine up above, we needed that height for that purpose.
Also, note the rebuilding of the mobile station at 13 in Southfield. Notice that it's much higher elevation than it needs to be. And when you walk in the station there, it's not a typical, you know, let's say 9 or 10 foot ceiling. But again, part of the design, the building is actually higher than the covering over the pumps.
And with all this glass, it'll add a lot of light, you know, brighten up that interior space as well.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
Yes, so with that, so is there an elevator in there?
No, it's just for employee access, and elevator's not required.
So how do you get the storage stuff
There's
up?
stairs, if you look at the, Terry, if you can go to the floor plan, there's a stairwell in the southeast corner. It takes you up to it.
It's like for office use and light storage, not for
Right.
heavy access.
Oh,
Nothing that requires an elevator.
More or less.
paper goods.
Additional things like that, in office, business meetings, things like that.
And it's really only half of the floor space is the mezzanine, correct?
Correct, just on the right side.
Okay. With it being a C-store, is it a possibility that, and this is because I don't have any background in this, I don't know for sure, but I've seen gas stations where they have like a Starbucks or some Tim Hortons next to it. Could this potentially become something like that in the future?
They would have to come back for additional approval if that's what they're looking for.
We are proposing, a food takeout that's in the south part of that building that would be preparing to-go items.
Okay.
And if it needs to be a potential drive-through in the future, which we would like to do based on traffic flow, there is enough room in the back where you could turn it that way, if that's, needs to be proposed.
Okay. So if you're saying that the pace of sales with the C-store is, that it's outpacing, the gas, why would we just build the store instead of making it a gas station?
Well, gasoline sales are still in demand. C-stores are outpacing because it's serving the neighborhood. People are liking these better stores as far as meals, grab-and-goes, proper, setup. That's what's succeeding the sales, not so much that there's not a demand for gasoline. Gasoline is going to be around, like you said, another 20, 30 years. It may evolve to where there is electric, and electric is going to be in the same line of gasoline. It's not just going to be, level 1, level 2, level 3. It's going to be, people who live in apartments can't charge their cars, so they're going to come to a gas station. There's going to be use for that as well. It's an evolving, area. So, but in between now and then, there's a long ways for gas use. We're looking at, 10 to 30 years.
Okay. Last thing, and I may be just getting ahead of myself here, but is there any intention of liquor sales in this C-store at some point?
We would like that.
You would like that? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hogue?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In regards to the traffic flow, people cutting through, I'm not sure, that's not a problem of yours, and I don't think necessarily this will resolve it. It's just horrible right there. Other than the police coming and ticketing folks, they'll probably continue to cut through. My concern is just the number of gas stations that we just keep adding, especially with the one just being approved just months ago across the street. And as the public person came up and stated, I think as a city, we also owe a commitment to those who have already existed and was here before these new plans to, they're coming in bigger and better. I get it. I've seen these trends of these new gas stations, but then I also don't want to put out our other businesses, put them out of business because we keep allowing new, bigger, and better things, and then I'm just not sure that we need another gas station. I appreciate it. I think it would be good, but I'm just not sure to keep adding in that one corner. Does that make sense? And then are we contributing to the safety issues that we may have? So I just ask that my colleagues that we think about that.
Can I
That's all,
comment?
Madam
Can I comment on that, please?
Yes.
Okay, so the map that Terry has up now shows that the Northwestern Highway would serve as basically the proposed station as well as the one that is up on the upper northwest corner. That is the directional traffic, and then going the southeast would pick up the two existing as well as the one that's been previously approved. So just wanted to comment on just looking at the directional traffic with looking at the station. Also in regards to the safety of the de-acceleration lane, I mentioned that we worked with the Oakland County Road Commission and MDOT. We do have a taper off of 12 Mile that was their recommendation from the Oakland County Road Commission. MDOT did not require a de-acceleration lane. So.
Thank you for that. Councilman Brightwell?
What is the level of the charger that you will have there?
For the electric vehicle?
Yes.
That would be, there is what they call level 1, level 2, and level 3.
Yes.
Slope, kind of something you put in your house, and kind of something you put in these plazas or hotels. And, the one in the homes take overnight. The one in the plazas, hotels, et cetera, may take, 4 or 6 hours, whatever the fact is. These level 3s are meant to be faster charging. And the technology is not even there yet. So as we speak, the technology is changing. That's why they don't recommend you to put so many of them at once. I mean, what they're going to come out in 6 months may be an old technology. So there's going to be upgrades to that. The idea is to charge your car in a gas station within, 3 to 10 minutes like you would if you were filling up, depending on the amount of fill up. That's where it's at.
I know, but so what are your plans to have what level? at your
Level 3,
location?
fast charging.
Level 3, okay.
Yeah, level 3. Fast charging is always the case, and as technology gets ahead, we keep changing it and making it faster.
Okay, thanks. The next one, this is more of a marketing question. What, and this question is based on, marketing, everything that is built up, they have parameters, what drive to. So what is the demographic you look at by placing your shop at that location? Is there a certain demographics? And I know that it may be old technology, but whenever you put something down, there's a certain 20, 30-mile radius that will support that location. So what is the primary driver for putting that, your station at that location?
Like Joe mentioned earlier, it's the directional traffic. So you're looking at 48,000 cars going one direction and 22,000 cars going on 12 Mile. And they serve a purpose. The young lady's got one at Franklin Road, which, may impact because of the Northwestern, but they serve Franklin Road too. And, we want to make sure that everybody survives. Like she said, we want to make sure that no one's going to go out of business.
Sure.
But the idea of this traffic versus the other one, there was two small ones, another one got approved, right? I mean, they're sitting at the same light. So, it's not serving the purpose. This way, there is nothing serving the traffic. It's the first thing, that can serve that traffic and the corners. And that's the idea of where you get that volume from, based on traffic study, based on car count, based on the corner,
Okay.
the high visibility of the corner.
So the movement of vehicles,
That's correct. And
the driver.
and the fact that nothing is serving, you've got three guys sitting there at the same dock, at the same light, there's nothing going that way. And, if it gets overwhelmed with traffic, obviously they're going to go to the next corner, and that's the idea. That's the idea of sharing the business on the same side of the road. But that's where we're looking for business from. The
Okay.
neighborhood, the traffic studies, and the surrounding neighbors. And the traffic flowing into 3 different cities, almost going that way, PM side of the hours.
Okay, so your study said this movement will support your location in addition to all the other locations in the environment?
We've done an impact study on ourselves.
Right.
Based on the competition. So the study that we've submitted shows that there's this many gas stations, that many demographics, and this still supports the area.
Okay, all right, well, it's a business decision, so you
Right.
have data that indicate.
We've submitted that to the planning board.
So just to summarize, they got an average daily traffic of 48,000 cars heading northwest adjacent to the property, and then another 22,000 cars heading east on 12 Mile. So the gas stations are based on traffic volume,
Right.
passerby traffic volume, as opposed to demographics.
Right, right.
Other places will locate in an area based on education and employment and income. Gas stations and retail are driven by passerby traffic. They
Okay.
provided a study to support that there's a market for a new one, especially in this direction.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, and what drives this? I know something drives everything. So what, in your business, this drives where you put your business?
The directional corner, the traffic and where it sits, correct.
Okay.
That's what makes it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. And in your analysis, in your business decision, that this location can be supported by this traffic?
That's,
Okay.
yeah, yes, that's.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. I believe I read that within 30 to 60 days, you hope to start construction? Or was it
Roughly 60 days, yeah.
60 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
From day
There's
to.
civil engineering we have to go through, and as well as the construction documents of the plan, of the building. So yes,
Yeah,
probably 60 days.
60, 90 days max, depending on readiness of the
Right.
civil engineering.
As soon as I can get plans ready for
construction.
them.
Okay, and and I guess to the planner, is there a reason why the previous gas station that we approved across the street, down a little ways, hasn't even broken ground? I drove by there today, and there's just been no activity on that site.
I'm not aware of any particular reasons. Sometimes it's, they might not be weren't as prepared for their engineering and structural and all that other things. I'm not aware. We could try to reach out to the developer to see where they are. Others are ready to go as soon as they get planning approval. They're usually in the next day working with the various departments. And sometimes we approve things and we don't see anything happening for a year. So I don't know what the particulars are about that. We can try to look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, council? Okay, are we prepared to vote? Council? Or did you want to read the?
Well, I can summarize if you'd like me to. So with regards to PSLU 23-001, subject to the following, that the site plan conditions of PSP 23-0001 get approved and satisfied. The gas station operation shall be 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. The submitted special use with any conditions recommended by the Planning Department and Planning Commission will be of such size and character that it will be in harmony with an appropriate and orderly development of the B3 General Business District. The location, size, intensity, and periods of operation of the proposed use is designed to eliminate any possible nuisance likely to emanate therefrom, which might be adverse to occupants of nearby permitted uses. The proposed use is in accord with the spirit and purpose of the chapter. The proposed use is such character and vehicle traffic generated will not have an adverse impact, effect, or be detrimental to the surrounding uses and adjacent thoroughfares. The proposed use is of such character and intensity and are arranged on the site to eliminate any adverse resulting from noise, dust, dirt, glare, odor, and fumes. The proposed use will not be adverse to the promotion of health, safety, and welfare of the community. And the proposed use is designed and operated so as to provide security and safety to employees and general public. For these conditions, we recommend approval.
Thank you. Council?
I have one more question.
Oh, okay. Question.
When Mr. Croder was reading the dissertation that he just read, I didn't hear anything about the police having looked at the plans to make sure that I know the last statement said it was designed to protect the employees, but I would like to see a police report, because if they're going to sell liquor and beer, that's going to attract a different crowd than people that are just buying gasoline.
So if I could, through the chair, Mr. Frazier, crime prevention reviews all site plans and weighs in on crime prevention on the site. With regards to the sale of alcohol and liquor, we will be coming back to you with proposed amendments. They would have to come back for a separate special land use in order to sell beer, wine, and liquor. And at that time, we can have a more scrutinized review by the police department. But every site plan is vetted through the Crime Prevention Bureau of the police department. And then, for example, when we had the medical marijuana, we have a 21-point review by the police department. And I know the police chief himself has been out to review those. So at the time of the alcohol sales, we will make sure that that's incorporated a higher level of police scrutiny.
Okay. I must have missed it when you read it, so, okay.
Thank you. Okay, council? Are we prepared to vote?
Yes. I move that we approve this special use request as presented.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve PSLU 23-0001, the special use request as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed?
Nay.
One opposed. Okay, since we do not have to have the public hearing for the site plan, can we go ahead and receive a motion for that since we,
Any other questions that you have?
are there any other questions from anyone regarding the site plan for the same property? Seeing none, council, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve PSP 23-0001 site plan review request as presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve the site plan review request, PSP 23-0001, as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
One opposed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Council, next we have a recommendation to postpone to a date certain PSP 23-0003, the site plan review for Moshe Goldberg to convert an existing building from general office to medical.
Yeah, if I could, through the chair, if you recall, this item was before you a week or two ago. And since the negative recommendation from the Planning Commission, because the site was deficient in parking, the petitioner has talked to an adjacent property owner and is negotiating with acquiring 10 additional feet. Those 10 additional feet were part of a prior alleyway. So by acquiring the property, he's able to accommodate additional parking to get them within the variance waiver acceptable 10% deficiency. Therefore, they'll have to start back at the Planning Commission with a rezoning request to vehicular parking for that 10-foot strip, and then come back for a revised site plan. And therefore, since this was previously advertised under the existing conditions, they're agreeable to recommending postponement to no date uncertain, and you will see this back before you in the next few months.
Council?
I move that the site plan review request of Moshe Goldberg, PSP 23-0003, be postponed to a date uncertain.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve PSP 23-0003, the request of Moshe Goldberg to convert the existing building, general office to a medical office as presented, to a date uncertain. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have PZTA 23-0001, which is the council-initiated zoning ordinance text amendment to amend Title V.
Yes, through the chair, this has been previously discussed. This is just to allow the eligibility of the Northland ODD boundary district to be extended to the former AT&T building here, immediately adjacent to the current Northland ODD. Given the fact that the proposed development of over 2,000 residential units at Northland, and the fact that AT&T building has been vacant for many years and underdeveloped, this will allow at least the potential for mixed-use development that you'll see next month regarding this property. And it gives us the ability to require the higher streetscape and landscape elements that will tie in with the Northland development so that it will look like a unified design. So the specifics of their proposal will come back to you in May, but this would allow the eligibility of this one parcel to have the same higher design standards as the current Northland development.
Okay. This is a public hearing. I declare the public hearing open for PZTA 23-0001. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this topic? I did have a list of a couple of people that signed up to speak. If you're still here, you can come forward. The first being a Mr. Adair Rubin. No. Mr. Leroy Williams. Mr. Kevin Japaya. Okay. Seeing none, and is there anyone else in the audience? Okay. Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, do we have any questions or comments? No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Council President?
Yes.
I move that council approve PZTA 23-0001, council initiation to the zoning ordinance text amendment to amend Title V, zoning and planning, Chapter 45, zoning of the Code of the City of Southfield, to add the property located at 16025 Northland Drive to the boundary district of the Northland Overlay Development District.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve PZTA 23-0001, the council-initiated zoning ordinance text amendment as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, the next item would be to introduce ordinance number 1769.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 1769.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Cruz, supported by Councilman Frazier, to introduce ordinance number 1769. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council, next we're under our agenda and items for discussion and/or action. And our first is the West Nile virus prevention funding assistance.
Good evening, Your Honor, Mayor and Council. I'm Brandy Solachek. I'm the City Stormwater Manager, and I'm here talking about the West Nile Virus Prevention Funding Assistance Program that we get assistance through Oakland County. This program has been going on for over 23 years now, and the city is eligible to receive funding to prevent West Nile virus in our city in a total amount of up to $9,995.72. And every year, we basically spend this money on purchasing of larvicides to put in our catch basins, which are basically mosquito dunks that go to the bottom of the catch basin. This prevents the larva to grow of the mosquito that likes the West Nile, or that carries the West Nile virus. This mosquito likes to breed in stagnant areas such as catch basins. So we spend a majority of our money on purchasing those products. We also work with Oakland County on distributing materials and educational materials to our residents. And we also do purchase some mosquito wipes to pass out at events. We also work with community relations and cable to get the information out to the public. The main way people can prevent West Nile virus and protect themselves is to make sure they wear mosquito repellent and, during dawn and dusk to wear long sleeves and long pants. So we work with getting that information out to the public. So I'm here tonight just requesting the authorization to request reimbursement under this program for our West Nile virus preventative measures in the amount of $9,995.72. If anybody has any questions, I can answer those.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions? Mayor Siver.
Does this include the drainage ditch between, and the golf course?
Right out here to the south?
Yeah, next to the parking lot, between the parking lot, south parking lot, and the golf course.
Right, so typically we don't treat ditches, but I know when you walk by this area, you can smell that it's very stagnant. So that would be a location that we could potentially treat. And we do have extra available dunks to be able to do that, so I'll put that on the radar this year for.
Yeah, and what about the water on the golf course, the pond?
So we do also have some product that is meant for detention basin. It spreads out amongst a larger area. And we do use those on, excuse me, city-owned detention ponds like the ones in Evergreen Hills. So those do get treated.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, council. Seeing no other questions, I'd like to entertain a vote.
Madam President?
Yes.
I move that the West Nile Virus Prevention Funding Assistance Program as presented be approved.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve the West Nile Virus Prevention Funding Assistance as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the acceptance of the Michigan Economic Corporation grant for road repairs.
Good evening, everybody. So the city has received an agreement from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to provide funding for repair of roads owned by the city. This was an appropriation by the Michigan legislature in the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunities fiscal year 23 budget. So per the appropriation bill, it's anticipated that this grant will be used to reconstruct Denso Drive, located on the campus of Denso's North American headquarters on the west side of Telegraph Road, south of Civic Center Drive there. This MEDC grant totals $3 million, and there are no matching funds required. A second road project is going to be considered to make sure that we fully utilize the $3 million of grant funds. We do hope and expect that the Denso Drive project will come in lower than that. The nice thing about this grant, it can be used not just for construction, but can also be used for the preliminary engineering and the construction engineering, which is unique for this, well, for really all of my road project fundings that I ever get. So that's nice to see. It really is a no cost to the city to be able to get to rebuild Denso Drive. So just here this evening to ask that City Council approve the MEDC grant in the amount of $3 million.
Council? Councilman Brightwell?
Lee, you mentioned that you expected it to come in less than, the project expenditure to come in less than the $3 million?
Yes.
So can we use the excess funds for?
Yes, for another project. So the funds don't have to be expended until the end of 2025. So that will, once we get the Denso Drive project all bid, which it's actually out to bid right now, so we'll be having a bid opening later this week, then that will give us a good sense of how much money is remaining, and then we can decide what's going to be the best use of those funds for another road project. So, you know, we have several different road projects that really don't score well that are eligible for federal dollars. And, you know, we'll be looking at some of those roads to see if this might be a nice opportunity to expend it on a road that we would not normally get outside funds for.
Okay, no, I was just, because I'm dealing with something now that was excess dollars, but we cannot reuse it because they were not part of the original scope. So this is unique. I mean, this is interesting. Okay, with respect to that.
No, we had another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilman Frazier?
Yes. Is Denso Drive a city street or a private drive, private road?
Oh, it is a city street. It's on our city major road network.
Who does it serve except Denso?
There is one property on the, that is on the north side of Denso Drive that fronts on Telegraph. That is a non-Denso property. That's really the only property today that isn't Denso owned. They've been acquiring properties over the years. They originally were just along the south side of the road.
Okay, the reason I asked that is several years ago, we were going to pave the road to the backside of BASF, and they had to share in the cost because the road just served the BASF. And if this served only Denso, then I don't know why they wouldn't share, so the $3 million could go a little bit further in improving some of the other streets that need to be improved.
Yeah, they did work to help secure this appropriation. And, I mean, I'm welcome to take money. Denso Drive is in pretty rough shape. If the city had moved forward without outside funds, we absolutely would have been moving forward with that as a special assessment because it serves so few owners and it not being a through road to any other connector. But the money is there, and it was appropriated specifically for Denso Drive, so we are obligated to use it there. But the good news is there will be some sort of excess funds, hopefully upwards of $1 million that we'll be able to make good use of. MEDC helped prepare the grant language to be broad so that if Denso Drive wasn't going to be using all the funds, that we still had the ability to move forward with the second project of our decision.
So Denso Drive was written into the grant?
The
That it had
Denso
to be
Drive
used for-
was part of the appropriation, so it was in the conference report for the appropriation bill, specifically mentioned Denso Drive, but the agreement that came to us does not specifically mention Denso Drive. It says city-owned streets. These appropriations are always a little bit unique when they come through, and there's probably a lot of, making sure that they're crossing all their Ts and dotting their Is, and then they want to make sure that this $3 million appropriation, that none of those funds go back to the state.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stretch our money as far as we can, and if it only serves one customer, it seems like we could use some of the money to fix 100,000 customers that go up and down other streets.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess. Okay.
Councilwoman Holt.
Well, I was going to state the same thing Councilman Frazier did. When we hear it's going to go toward Denso Drive, immediately it comes to my mind to say, what about the residents? You and I had talked about Pierce Road being horrible and Lincoln and all of that, but I understand now why it needs to be, but hopefully the bid comes under a lot less, and we could then use it truly on roads that benefits more than just one corporate, if you will. Because that's how the citizens probably will see it, but we still got a lot of bad roads that we.
Right, and this will be nice. Our Streets and Highway Department has been spending a lot of time filling potholes for many years along Denso Drive, so I'm sure from their perspective it will be nice to get this one checked off the list, and then ideally one more project that we can move forward with next year and really fully utilize the grant money.
So clearly we wouldn't turn away grant money, but I just hope that bid comes in a lot lower where we can use it. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Yeah, I just had to say the same thing. I don't have a question either, but when you started out talking about they were for city roads, I'm wondering, I'm like, well, how did Denso just rise to the top of that? I'm like Mr. Frazier says, that 300 could go a lot further and show our residents a lot more productivity than working on Denso. But again, you said if it's tied to the grant or in some kind of way, better to have it than not. but still, I wish we could have been able to work that out in a different kind of way so that, you know, I think Councilwoman Hall kind of mentioned a number of different streets, particularly that are around me too. Some went and all around that, you know, people would have liked to see some action there instead of us getting the asphalt and you know what I'm saying. So,
Yes.
but still, good job on getting the grant and bringing the money to the city and, you know, putting it to work somewhere. So that's all I had to say.
Madam President, I'd like to just comment. You know, most of our road funding is by formula and distribution, you know, through the Act 51 formula when we talked about the Federal Aid Committee. Last year, as the budget was being put together, there were a number of roads. Rutland teamed up. The city had met with OCC, their lobbyists, Providence Hospital, J.L. Hudson's Drive, Northland Drive, Denzel Drive with their lobbyists. We worked with Lincoln and a number of other corporate entities to make a lobby push there, and Mount Vernon and some corporate interests there. And this is really the city's commitment to try to secure every dollar that's possible. We're aggressive. We use our lobbyists in addition to corporate lobbyists. Denzel was the strongest of the groups. They have a lot of interest statewide. They were able to cross the aisle, both sides. The roads I've mentioned are all on lists where we're looking for additional funding that's outside of the formula. As Mayor Seibert and a number of you have said at multiple council meetings, the formulas haven't been working for years. So anything we can do to get money. Councilman Frazier brought up BSF. When we were dealing with that bridge narrowing and that, BSF's lobbyist was with us when we secured those funds from the MEDC as well. So we're going to run any chance we can get those monies. And I will tell you that was a last-minute appropriation added in for $3 million. When I got it the next morning at 6-something in the morning, Senator Moss is sending it to us. We were happy. Did we want? I think we had 40-some million on there. I wanted 40 million. We got 3. We're grateful, and we're going to keep asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
I appreciate the administrator's comments and the comments that the council's made, but this was a political decision made prior to the election, and it's exactly as the city administrator said. The people that were making the decision saw the name Denzel. We might not have gotten anything. So I know we've been really trying to get money for Mount Vernon and Lincoln and several other secondary roads. It's very frustrating. And I get those calls. I know you do too. I see all this work being done, but you haven't done anything in my neighborhood. And I hate taking those calls. I answer people the same answers that we all give, is that we have more need than we have dollars, especially for local streets. So, it's very, very frustrating, but to get the $3 million, and I would agree with Councilwoman Hoag, let's hope that there's leftover to place someplace else that really needs it.
Thank you. No other questions, council?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the acceptance of the Michigan Economic Development Grant for road repair as presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve the acceptance of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation grant for road repairs as presented here tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Lee?
Thank you. Yes.
Lee, since what caught my interest here, whatever is left over, we can use as we see fit. Will you let council know, by the way, Mr. Zorn, how much is left over, and I would like to see that money allocated to the worst-case scenario, you know, wherever it's needed appropriately.
Right, absolutely. And certainly, like the Denzo Drive project, you know, we still go out for bids for that. That's still going to come back before council for award in the next couple weeks. And then you'll see me a few more times yet in the next month or so on some neighborhood projects that we are moving forward with this year. So we're still going to have a lot of work happening this year, just not quite as much on the major roads, but we are getting into the neighborhoods now. So you'll see me again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we come to the council portion. I'll start with you, Councilman Frazier.
I don't really have anything this evening. I have some thoughts in mind, but they aren't formulated well enough to make any sense, so I'll pass.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. Excuse me. I would just like to remind everyone that today, April 24th, is the Armenian Martyrs' Day, 108th anniversary. For those who may not be familiar with what this is, the Armenian genocide was the first genocide of the 20th century. It took the lives of 1.5 million Armenians who were massacred by the Ottoman Turkey's Young Turk government beginning in 1915. The deportation and mass extermination of Armenians continued until 1923. Planned and executed during World War I, the Armenian genocide saw the virtual elimination of Armenians from their homeland. Those who were not killed immediately were led to horrific death marches, like the one through the Deir Zor desert in Syria. The mass exorcists of surviving Armenians from Asia Minor resulted in the Armenian people moving to every corner of the world. Today, the large Armenian population comprises over 4 million people, roughly equal to the number of Armenians living in the modern Republic of Armenia. The genocide began April 24, 1915, when Ottoman authorities arrested and killed some 250 Armenian intellectuals and community leaders in Constantinople. Those arrested included doctors, lawyers, parliamentarians, authors, and artists. Armenian civilians, including the elderly, women, and children, were then forcibly removed from their homes and sent on the death march for hundreds and hundreds of miles with no food, no water. To this day, the Republic of Turkey continues to deny that the Armenian genocide took place, although historians and scholarly authorities throughout the world recognize the genocide as a very tragic fact of history. For years, Armenian communities around the world commemorate April 24th as Armenian Martyrs' Day, which they observe with religious and cultural memorials. And I just wanted to share that today is our 108th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz?
Madam President, I don't have anything else to share this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
I have something to share with respect to veterans. And anyone who's listening, although you might not be a veteran, you might know someone or know someone who knows someone who's a veteran, so pass the word on. On May 19th of this year, from 12 to 4 at the Dingle Center, downtown Detroit, there will be an expungement center, an expungement program. And this is for Oakland, Wayne, St. Clair, and Macomb County. If you're a veteran from either of those locations, you are entitled to come for this expungement center. And at this clinic, you will meet an attorney for free. And for your information, an expungement is a way to remove past offenses from your public record. So in essence, they will clear up your record if you have something there that is harmful to your, seeking employment or anything else in your life that might be detrimental. So, but you have to register, and the site is too difficult and has too many verbs, too many letters. But if you just reach out to me here at the at City Hall, I can text you the exact code to register. And then you can reach me here at 248-796-5150. And this is something that the VA is going on nationwide. They are trying to help veterans get things off their record, and there are quite a few nonprofits and a lot of lawyers are doing this pro bono for the vets to get their records cleared up so they can lead a normal life. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hogue?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have a few things. I have a question, and I thought I saw Patrick Ryan, but the bike paths, though, especially the one on 12 Mile between Southfield and Guy, is the city looking to repair those at all?
That, we anticipate that being part of this year's budget, being presented to council.
Okay.
Some spot repair in 12 Mile and Civic Center, over by the funeral home, I believe.
Yeah.
Is the area you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Okay. I just needed to know that. And branch pickup, I know that we're still behind with the chippers, but, and I've been very patient too, because I'm one of those where the branches are still out in front and has been there for 3 to 4 weeks. But have we given any thought, because we can only work our people overtime so long, have we given any thought to maybe doing a quick contract work to get us caught up, and then we can resume our regular?
I did speak with Patrick Ryan about that last week. The cost is reasonable, and we're exploring that.
Okay, because I do.
We continue to, it is probably the #1 complaint the last month and a half.
Right.
These storms.
Right.
Seems we get through and
The weather.
We're always going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. Also, I just wanted to let everyone know that MDOT has a new project that they're going to be doing, resurfacing approximately 5 miles of 8 Mile Road from Woodward to Van Dyke. And this project is anticipated to begin in May of this year and run through the summer of 2024. The reason I'm bringing it forward is that there's an open house that will be held on Thursday, April 27th, from 4 to 7, inviting the public. It's free. It's going to be at Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church, where you will be able to speak to the MDOT team and ask questions and see what this is going to entail. But by this being such a big project and for so long, anyone that can attend might want to do that and get any questions that you may have asked and answered. Also on May 3rd here at the Parks and Rec, we will have a bike safety night. Southfield Parks and Rec Department is partnering with with the Southfield, here at the Southfield Municipal Campus, and they are partnering with the League of Michigan Bicyclists and the Southfield Police. So that will be on May 3rd from 5 to 7. And they will be giving away to the children helmets, bike safety helmets. Also, some of us went to a breakfast this morning with the realtors, and they have a class that they offer to the community for anyone that's buying a home and completing this education course. It answers questions that you might have if you're a first-time homeowner or thinking to purchase a home. Some of the things that you might not know to ask or not even think of. They have components, and it's called Southwest Solutions and GMAR Realtors. They're putting on classes, and it'll be held here in Southfield at the GMAR office. And you can register by going online to gmaronline.com/events. This is to help new new people that want to purchase homes. You'll have a course of workshops which will also help you qualify for your down payment if you use certain companies or what have you. The certificate is good for 12 months, and they're saying that these certificates are required now for people when they're purchasing new homes. I thought that was nice for them to offer that. And also, lastly, Councilwoman Hogue and myself attended the Michigan Municipal League's CapCon last week, and it was very, very, very good and exciting. Their theme was maximize the moment. And all the things that we're working on are things that everyone around this state is working on. And it was just refreshing to hear some of the same issues that we have, NIMBYism, and I thought of you, Mr. Frazier, was one of the ones, short-term rentals, roads, of course, DTE, I mean, all kinds of things, but new things are coming up as well, where they will have something called residential brownfield, which the bills are just being introduced. We're going to stay on top of that and bring that back to the residents to see how we can help. So it was very exciting. We had a good time. We got to talk, and she's not as quiet as she pretends to be. Nice person. I really enjoyed it. So you'll hear more from us on this information that we received at the CapCon this last week. So thank you. Mayor Seibert?
Yes, good evening, everybody, once again. So, three things that I wanted to share this evening. We are, a reminder that Arbor Day, we're celebrating this Friday at 11 o'clock. We're meeting at Parks and Rec, and the tree planting will take place on the campus here. Unfortunately, I don't know the exact location, but we will meet and then go out. Also today, speaking of Arbor Day, I got a confirmation letter from the Arbor Day Foundation congratulating the city of Southfield on, once again, for the 35th or 6th time being a Tree City USA. And it's more important than ever because, as we know, with the continued struggle we're having at picking up branches and tree debris, that we lost 3,000 trees or damaged, or lost or damaged, and so we need to put more emphasis on that. Second thing, again, as a reminder, the new council approved the blessing of the vets, Corvettes, with the Roadmasters Club. It's this Saturday from 9 to 2. But there's been a change, so even though we approved it for city property, it's actually going to be moved across the street, right across the street on the vacant property, because we have a big event in the pavilion, and parking is going to be at a premium this weekend. So again, the blessing of the vets come out and support the Roadmasters, who do a lot to support the city this Saturday. And then finally, we're offering a career exploration program. It's 3 Fridays, starting this Friday and on the 28th. And these are they're geared towards high school students or post-high school students who haven't quite decided what they want to do, or maybe they've come to the realization that working in retail or fast food is not the end to fulfilling all your dreams. So this Friday, session 1 will take place at the Suffolk Public Library Auditorium from 3:30 to 4:45. And then session 2 will be same time, same place. It'll be on Friday, May 5th. The third session is the 12th. Let me back up to the 5th. It's career opportunities in public safety with a focus on police and fire. And then on the 12th, session 3 will focus on careers in the field of human services, parks and recreation, and the library, working for a library. And then Friday the 19th, session 4, will focus on careers in finance and accounting, building trades, and public works. This is a great move on the part of the cities, on behalf of the city, as we still have positions that go wanting. And if we can find some local talent that we can steer into careers related to city government, municipal government. These sessions are all free. And so I'm encouraging, if you know anybody, any high school or post-high school student looking for maybe rethinking or looking at maybe changing the direction of their life, we're offering these sessions. So again, 28, 5, 12, and 19 are the Fridays.
Could you email those to us?
This is in a press release also from the Community Relations Department. It will be on the website,
Okay.
city website.
Okay.
And for further information, I'm told to contact Michael Mannion in Community Relations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Administration? Mr. Zorn?
I have no items this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move to the attorney. Madam Attorney?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, what I'm presenting is a proposed charter amendment. This was something that has been worked on for the last couple of months, where has been discussed that the clerk and treasurer positions would, starting in 2025, be appointed as opposed to being elected. As you know, pursuant to the Home Rule City Act, there is a process. So the first thing we do, of course, is to look at the proposed resolution and the ballot language that would go to the voters in November of this year. A lot of cities, townships, municipalities, well, I shouldn't say townships, but those that have charters have an opportunity, such as I, to talk to the Attorney General's office unofficially, because once this is approved, it does go to the Governor's office for review and approval in conjunction with the Attorney General's office. So for the past several months, what I've presented to you is the product of getting unofficial assistance from the Attorney General's office. Also, you'll see in the letter that there is a deadline to get this to the governor's office. They wanted, I can't remember the date, but June 16th is the last date that we even want to, if this was to be approved, as be approved by 3/5 of the members-elect of council, which is 5. So June 16th would be the last day that the governor's office would want to receive any charter amendments from anyone in the state to go on the November ballot. And then, of course, it's up to the electors, those that want to vote in the city, it's up to them.
Okay. Questions, council? Councilman Brightwell?
I read through this, skimmed it. Did you want to answer tonight?
Well, the resolution, it needs to be approved, because then there's a process that I have to work with the city clerk's office, that the governor, there's a whole process that they have, a letter that we have to send to the governor's office, to the attorney general's office. So I will leave it to council. I don't know if there needs to be any more discussion, but if it's approved tonight, then I will work with the clerk's office to get this to the governor's office for review.
Okay, no, I've read it. I'm ready. Can you just affirm to me and our council a clip note for version this? Okay, the two positions will be appointed at some point in time, if approved by the voters. The positions will report to the city administrator, if once appointed. And so I'm just trying to, I read it, I'm okay with it, but I've been hearing some conflicting things.
So that is something that would be discussed, I believe, with others, besides just me with the language. Right now, we're just looking to see if we want it to be an appointed position. Yes, it's appointed by the city administrator, and then I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that would happen should the voters choose this. But as far as the details, that would be up to city administration, council, human resources, as far as who they will report to and things like that. I don't know if that's what you're referencing, but as far as the language, it said they will be appointed by the city administrator, of course, with council's approval.
Okay. All right, well, I'm comfortable with it. I read. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not confusing anything that's not there.
Okay. Councilwoman Banks?
Just to clarify, I think what Mr. Brightwell is asking, and I want confirmation also, you're just looking for us to confirm the language that's going to go on the ballot this evening, correct?
Yes.
And the rest of it, we can, I guess, discuss at a later date if there's any changes. But example, on pages is, in our packet, it's, it says the ballot language, and it's just basically 2 sentences. I think that's what we're approving tonight for both the treasurer and the city clerk. Is that correct?
Correct. So this would be what I have presented in the packet, the resolution and the ballot language. All of that would need to be approved before I could send it to the governor's office. So what's presented here, for example, my glasses, 'cause there's 2 proposals. So ballot proposal 1 would say, shall the charter be amended by amending section 5.2, 5.9, and 6.1 to change the city treasurer from an elected to an appointed position to take effect in November 2025 or upon a vacancy in the office, whichever occurs first. And then, of course, in 5.2, you'll see the things that would have to be deleted should the voters decide, yes, we want the treasurer as an appointed position. Because the governor needs to see the charter as it is now, as it stands today, and what is going to be taken out should we amend it. So tonight, what I will be looking for is, number 1, are you approving the resolution that says we want these 2 ballot proposals? And then number 2, are you approving the ballot language? Because this is what will be going to the governor. So I'm not sure. I worked with the Attorney General's office, got the whole format, and this is how it has to be presented to the governor's office, just like we did, I guess, what was it, 2020, when we did the primary. So I'll just leave it to council, but that's the process. I have the resolution that says, here's the proposals, and then after that, For each ballot language for the charter amendment, ballot proposal 1 is for the treasurer, ballot proposal 2 is for the clerk. And this whole packet has to go to the governor's office and to the attorney general's office. They will then communicate back with the city if they are satisfied, and then, of course, working with the clerk's office, it goes to the county so it can be put on the ballot.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilman Frazier?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. This is just more curiosity. You have to send it to the Attorney General, and you have to send the same ballot language to the governor. What happens if they don't agree?
So the governor is the first party that gets it. They send it to the Attorney General's office for review, as the Attorney General is the attorney for the state. So they are relying on the Attorney General to give them the final approval. So if they have questions about it, they're going to point it out to the Attorney General, just like if someone would come to the city attorney's office and we're discussing, something just, on this level. So it's not that the governor gives would approve it, and then the Attorney General's office would not approve it. The Attorney General the governor is looking to the Attorney General to approve it. They get it. They're looking at the timelines for everything that's going to be on the ballots coming up in August or November. And so they're working hand in hand so that it's all done together. It's not, the governor says, well, I like it. What do you think? No, we don't like it. Once it's in the format, once it's in the timing that the governor's office wants, because then they are working with the Attorney General's office, and then the Attorney General's office, gives the final approval. So
So if there's any conflict between the two of them, they have to settle it there and then send it back to you so you can get it on the ballot. And it has to be done by the middle of June, I think it is.
Well, they want everything to them, the governor, because then their process is they get the letter, and they really have a thorough review, because like I said, I've talked to other city attorneys, and there is unofficial review, so you can get helpful hints. So when you do send the charter amendment to the governor, and they send it to the Attorney General, we still send a copy to the Attorney General, because there's so many that's coming, that by the time they get it, they want to be able to, I guess, cross the Ts, dot the Is twice.
Yeah, well, it says that we need to do our job as soon as possible, so that when it gets to Lansing, if every other city is sending something up for for them to look at, we don't get lost in a shuffle and it's too late to get on the ballot.
Correct.
So, we have to do that. I have another question, and I think I know the answer, but the cleaning up the charter for pronouns, that doesn't take a charter committee or anything, does it? I mean, you can clean that up anytime you want, can't you? The him, because it's always in there, the city administrator is a him, not a him/her.
Right, and I know in our charter, it references that. I can't think of the exact section where it says, if it has the pronouns. I know things have changed just lately, but even in our charter, I can't find the section, and it talks about the pronouns, that if you see him, it could reference her, and I can't think of that section. I'd have to.
Well, actually, it was in the paragraph right after the ones that are for the charter amendments. And then it said the city council can appoint a city administrator, and it went on to say him in that, and that is what I read that.
I know I see that because when I'm looking at the language, and of course, with the unofficial comments, if I needed to change something, they would definitely, reference it, especially if, I think when I did it back in 2020, and I said him, and they made sure I said her because I was sending it to Governor Whitmer.
Okay,
But in the general language, they didn't specify, you need to fix this.
so if it says him, her is inferred.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have any other questions?
No.
I have a question. How are we going to, if everything moves forward, how are we going to communicate to the public why we came up with this decision and what the ballot initiative is all about? Are we going to do town halls? Are we going to do, or is it too early in the process to?
I would have to work with the clerk's office. My understanding is that when you do present information, it has to be fair. You can't lean one side or the other. There was information from the Michigan Municipal League that stated that of all the cities that had charters, there's only 42 out of maybe 270 that still elect, and then there's 234, 243 to do some form of an appointment. And whenever, I remember we had the charter amendment before, we wanted to be careful that we didn't show, we just had to show both sides what happened. So I think working with the Michigan Municipal League would be the best thing, because that's the information they present. That's, you know, here's this, here's that, but it's not, if it comes from the city, I think we don't want to say, you know, we're telling the voters what to do, but just to educate them with the facts and information and make sure that, you know, if they have questions, city staff's available to answer those questions.
Okay, but we are planning on, that's what I was saying, rolling out some kind of communication or have town halls or something to, on a regular, I guess.
Yes, I would work with clerk's office, administration, just to give, and of course, Michigan Municipal League, to give information, especially since this is something that's done statewide quite often.
Okay. Councilwoman Banks?
And if I could just add, in the past, we have done fact sheets. The clerk's office, through the election newsletter, has sent out, again, the fact sheet. We posted it on the cable station, and we had like a separate table and even like bulletin boards, small bulletin boards to explain, you know, if you voted yes, if you voted no, and all that information should be in the clerk's office. So if, you know, the attorney needs to reference it, it should all be there, what we've done in the past.
Thank you. Council, any other questions, comments? Seeing none. How say you?
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the proposed charter amendments as presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Hogue, to approve the proposed charter amendment as proposed in our packets and presented. Roll call.
Just for clarification, we're talking about
Vote.
each of them separately.
Yes.
And so this one is going to be for which one?
Okay, so you want to vote on them separately as well? Okay. I'll have to ask you to amend your vote to which one or the other, and then we're going to do a roll call vote. I guess.
So I could barely hear her. What happened now?
So we need to handle each one separately. So the first proposal, charter amendment, is going to be for either position. You can either do the clerk's position or the treasurer's position, but we have to do them one at a time.
Okay, then. I would like to amend my proposal to my motion, and I move that we approve the first amendment, which deals with the clerk's office.
Support.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Hogue, to approve the proposed charter amendment for the clerk position from elected to appointed as presented. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Brightwell,
Yes.
Councilmember Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Banks,
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Fraser.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the ballot language as presented for the treasurer.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilman Frazier, to approve the proposed charter amendment language and ballot proposal language for the treasurer to be changed from an elected position to a appointed position as presented. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Holt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fraser,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Banks,
Yes.
Councilmember Brightwell,
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Do you need anything else from us tonight, Madam Attorney?
No, thank you very much, and I will be working with the clerk's office to get the letter to the governor prepared, as well as the fact sheets.
Okay, and then you'll come back to us if there's any,
Yes.
okay. Okay, thank you. Next, Madam Clerk?
I just would like to add on to, coincidentally, to what Councilmember Banks was discussing and give you an opportunity to learn even more about it. One of the books that I read on the Armenian Holocaust, as well as other Holocausts that have occurred throughout the universe, or our universe, is called A Problem from Hell, pardon the profanity, and it's by a former Obama appointee. Her name is Samantha Powers, and it is very enlightening in regard to the genocides that occurred in Armenia, the genocides that have occurred throughout the world and that continue to occur, and the world's reaction, not just America's reaction to it, but also the entire world's reaction to Cambodia and Rwanda and Germany and Armenia. And if you're interested in finding out how you can learn from those opportunities, then that is a really good book to read.
Thank you. Mayor?
I'd like to add just one more thing. We did issue a proclamation to the Armenian congregations in both churches in Southfield as well as Dearborn, the Armenian organization there, noting April 24th as Armenian Remembrance Day.
Thank you.
And if I could add, I believe both of those resolutions are being presented tonight at the service that is being held at the St. Sarkis Church. All the Armenian churches are meeting there tonight for the service. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have nothing new to schedule. Nothing else? Any other questions or concerns for tonight?
Do the administrator?
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't have anything. All right, no other business? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.